What if power didn't roar, but whispered? High above Monaco's glittering skyline, where the sea kisses the stars, there's one penthouse that never sleeps. Its lights never fade, its curtains never open, and inside, a man known only as Zeus watches a kingdom most people will never see. No reporters, no cameras, no noise, only silence wrapped in gold. They call it the Hidden Kingdom, a world where billionaires trade secrets instead of stocks, and where silence itself has a price. But tonight, we step closer than anyone ever has, into the place where power wears a tuxedo and truth hides behind glass walls. Because somewhere inside that penthouse, between the luxury, the shadows, and the lies, a whisper escaped. A secret powerful enough to shake the empire that Zeus built. Stay until the end, because what you're about to hear might change how you see Monaco forever. And before we begin, hit like, drop a Z in the comments if you love Zeus, or type unlike if you think his empire hides something darker. They say every city has a heartbeat, but Monaco's pulse begins 500 feet above the sea. Perched at the very top of the Riviera's most exclusive tower stands a glass fortress known only to a handful of billionaires, Zeus's penthouse. From here, the world below looks like a chessboard, and every move, every whisper, every flicker of light belongs to him. The penthouse isn't just an address, it's a statement. The marble was imported from Carrara, the chandeliers custom-built in Venice, and the panoramic glass walls cost more than most super yachts. Yet, for all its brilliance, no one has ever seen a single verified photo from inside. Guests are escorted in blacked-out vehicles, phones are locked in silent boxes, and conversation is limited to what Zeus allows. Neighbors talk about the faint hum of helicopters landing on the rooftop pad at midnight, the delivery of rare art under diplomatic seal, and the mysterious security detail that changes faces every week. To outsiders, it feels less like a home and more like a private embassy of power. Every luxury detail hides a layer of control. Each glass panel doubles as a mirror from the inside, allowing Zeus to see without being seen. Some say he designed it that way, not for beauty, but for strategy. Because in a world built on appearance, invisibility is the greatest advantage of all. And yet, there's something unsettling about perfection that never shows its cracks. Whispers began to surface that one night, a single light flickered off, for the first time. No one knew why, no one dared to ask, but for those who watched the skyline long enough, that brief moment of darkness was more than an electrical fault. It was a signal, a sign that something inside Zeus's hidden kingdom had changed. Stay close. The silence at the top of Monaco is about to break. They call it the kingdom above the clouds, a world where the sound of the city fades and only the whispers of power remain. From the terrace of Zeus's penthouse, Monaco looks less like a country and more like a miniature empire built at his feet. The yachts below resemble chess pieces, the roads like golden veins carrying wealth instead of blood. Inside those glass walls, time seems to bend. The air is filled not with noise, but with control, measured, calculated, and deliberate. Every inch of the penthouse is designed to keep the outside world out, and Zeus's world perfectly contained. The temperature never changes, the curtains move automatically with the sun, and the walls are soundproofed so deeply that even the wind cannot enter without permission. Visitors describe the atmosphere as intoxicating and terrifying all at once. There are no clocks, no distractions, only the steady rhythm of quiet dominance. And when Zeus speaks, it's not loud. His voice carries the same gravity as the silence itself, each word carefully chosen, as if echoing through a cathedral of marble and glass. Here, isolation isn't a consequence of wealth, it's the foundation of it. Zeus built his fortune on one philosophy: control the silence, and you control everything. In his world, secrets aren't kept, they're curated. Conversations end with handshakes, but the real deals are made in pauses, in glances, in the silence that follows. From this floating kingdom, Zeus observes everything, from the billionaires who crave his favor to the royals who secretly envy his influence. Yet no one truly knows what he's building or why his empire operates entirely off the grid. But one night, a guest who entered that silent palace left with more than a memory. They carried something Zeus never intended anyone to take, a piece of the truth. And from that moment, the whispers that once stayed within the clouds began to drift down to the streets of Monaco. Every empire has its laws, but Zeus's kingdom runs on one single rule: silence is currency. No one speaks unless spoken to. No questions, no cameras, no trace. In his world, words are dangerous, but silence buys loyalty, power, and protection. Before entering the penthouse, every guest signs a contract thicker than a novel. Pages of confidentiality clauses that extend beyond life itself. Former staff have said it felt less like working for a billionaire and more like serving in a secret order. No one even utters his full name. They call him the patron, as if saying Zeus out loud might echo too far. Inside, conversations are rare, and when they do happen, they're coded. Instead of money, they say wind. Instead of favor, they say shadow. It's not paranoia, it's strategy. Zeus believes that noise destroys empires, and that the louder a person becomes, the closer they are to losing control. It's why he avoids interviews, red carpets, and public appearances. While other billionaires chase attention, Zeus mastered disappearance. Even the most prestigious journalists in Europe admit he's the ghost of Monaco, seen by everyone, known by no one. But such control comes at a price. Those who break the code of privacy don't just lose access, they vanish from the social map altogether. Invitations stop arriving. Deals fall apart. Their names are whispered in fear, not fame. Yet, in a city built on gossip and glitter, one whisper managed to escape. A guest, once trusted by Zeus, began to talk, quietly at first, then more boldly. They claimed the penthouse was more than a home. It was a vault of secrets, storing not gold, but knowledge. And one night, that vault cracked open. A file left unguarded, a conversation overheard, something that should have stayed buried rose to the surface. Because even in Zeus's world, silence can't last forever. And the moment someone broke it, the kingdom trembled. Power never exists alone. Even a king needs a circle. In Zeus's hidden kingdom, that circle is as small as it is dangerous. Only a handful of people have ever stepped beyond the mirrored doors of his penthouse without supervision. They are known simply as the inner circle, each one bound by loyalty, fear, and something far more valuable than money: access. There's the architect, the silent designer who built not just Zeus's home, but his entire image. Every angle of glass, every reflection was calculated to remind visitors who truly ruled Monaco's skyline. Then there's the curator, a woman with eyes sharp as diamonds. She controls Zeus's art collection, but rumors say her real job is to guard his secrets hidden behind those paintings. And finally, the banker, a man whose accent drips with old Swiss money, managing accounts that no one dares trace. Together, they form a network that functions like a living organism, each limb protecting the heart. When one moves, all react. Every business deal, every event invitation, every rumor in Monaco's high society somehow leads back to one of them. They are the silent diplomats of Zeus's empire, keeping the image perfect while burying the imperfections deep beneath marble and glass. But absolute control breeds absolute suspicion. Lately, insiders whisper that trust within the circle has started to fracture. One member, once closest to Zeus, began asking questions that no one in this world should ever ask. Late one evening, that person disappeared from the Riviera's social calendar. No farewells, no statements, just gone. And from that night on, the rest of the inner circle stopped speaking to each other entirely. Because in Zeus's world, silence isn't just golden, it's survival. And when silence breaks, someone always pays the price. Power doesn't always shout. Sometimes it sparkles. For Zeus, luxury isn't a reward, it's a strategy. Every diamond, every glass of vintage champagne, every invitation to a private gala carries purpose. In his world, opulence is a language, and only those fluent in its hidden meanings are allowed to speak. At one of his infamous soirees, the guest list read like a who's who of global wealth: royals, tech giants, and art magnates. But what most didn't realize was that every seat, every conversation, every glance across the marble hall was orchestrated by Zeus himself. The crystal centerpieces weren't decoration, they were placement markers in a social chess game. Whoever sat closest to Zeus would leave with a favor. Whoever sat farthest would be forgotten. He once gifted a rare Patek Philippe watch worth over $1 million, not for affection, but to test loyalty. The receiver was told, "If you ever sell this, I'll know." Months later, the watch appeared at an auction in Geneva. The bidder who bought it was none other than the curator. By the next sunrise, the original owner's name had quietly vanished from every luxury guest list in Europe. To outsiders, it seems like extravagance, but to those who understand, it's the art of control. Zeus's power doesn't rely on fear, it relies on fascination. People don't obey him because they must. They do because they want to be chosen, to belong to the golden myth he created. And yet, even the most beautiful games can't last forever. Whispers began to circulate that one guest, someone the cameras never caught, had walked away from Zeus's empire. Not in anger, but in defiance. Whoever they were, they didn't take the gifts. They took something far more dangerous, a truth worth more than all the gold in Monaco. Every empire has two rulers, one in the light and one in the shadow. In Zeus's world, the light belonged to him, but the shadow, that was hers. They called her the Queen, though no magazine dared to print her name. She didn't walk red carpets, didn't sit front row at fashion weeks, yet every designer in Europe sent her their latest collections first. When she entered a room, conversations slowed, not because of beauty, but because of presence. She was the kind of mystery that didn't need to be explained, only watched carefully. Some say she was Zeus's muse, others believed she was his strategist, the one who could turn emotion into advantage. Every major decision in Zeus's empire, from investments to alliances, somehow bore her invisible fingerprint. She never raised her voice, never contradicted him in public, but people who saw them together noticed one detail. When she spoke softly, Zeus listened. The Queen didn't command attention, she absorbed it. At gala nights, she stood by the balcony, her gaze drifting toward the sea while Zeus entertained guests. But insiders whispered that she wasn't admiring the view, she was studying the players, reading alliances, spotting threats, remembering names. Over time, her influence became so quiet, it was almost undetectable, and that's what made it unstoppable. While others sought the spotlight, she ruled from its edge. But one night, something changed. She stopped appearing by Zeus's side. No one knew why. Her name vanished from guest lists, her dresses went unworn, her presence erased like she'd never existed. And yet, weeks later, someone spotted a single light flickering from the penthouse balcony, the same one she used to stand beside. Was it a message or a warning that the Queen's silence might speak louder than Zeus himself? Every secret leaves an echo, and in Monaco, echoes travel fast. After months of silence from the penthouse, rumors began to drift through the marble corridors of the Riviera. They started as soft whispers at private dinners, then spread to yachts and hotel lobbies. Something inside Zeus's empire had cracked. One banker claimed he'd seen movements in accounts tied to offshore trusts, quiet withdrawals that didn't match Zeus's usual precision. An art dealer whispered that a painting once hanging in the penthouse had suddenly been shipped to London under a false name. And most curious of all, a former staff member hinted that certain rooms inside the penthouse had been sealed shut, as if history itself was being erased one door at a time. But Monaco is a place where rumors live longer than truth. The more Zeus's world appeared flawless on the surface, the deeper people wondered what he was hiding beneath. Some said the Queen had taken something before she disappeared. A record, a file, a secret only two people knew existed. Still, no proof ever surfaced. Every trail went cold just before it reached the truth. Every journalist who tried to investigate suddenly dropped the story. Some were bought off, others simply vanished from the Riviera's social scene. And yet, one whisper refused to die. It claimed that during a routine systems check, a security technician found something buried deep in the penthouse's encrypted archives, a recording that should not have existed. No one knows what was on it. Some say it was a conversation between Zeus and the Queen, others insist it revealed the real purpose of his empire. Whatever it was enough to make Zeus do something he'd never done before: go dark. The lights in the penthouse dimmed, the party stopped. The skyline that once glittered with his presence went silent. But the world below didn't forget. Because sometimes, when silence grows too deep, that's when the loudest secrets finally begin to rise. Every kingdom falls not by war, but by one truth escaping. Weeks after the penthouse went dark, a sealed envelope arrived at the London offices of a powerful financial journal. No return address, no fingerprints, only a wax seal pressed with the symbol of a lightning bolt. Inside, there was a letter written on heavy parchment and a single flash drive. The note read, "You built stories about Zeus. Now it's time to tell the real one." The editor hesitated. Monaco had always been untouchable, a fortress for the world's elite. But curiosity is stronger than fear. When they opened the drive, what they found wasn't gold, offshore records, or blackmail material. It was something colder, more precise, a list of names. Names of the very people who helped build Zeus's empire, and the ones who tried to tear it down. Each name came with dates, transactions, and coded messages. It wasn't evidence of corruption, it was proof of orchestration. Every crisis, every market swing, every sudden fortune on the Riviera had been part of a larger design. The file was more than data, it was a map of power. No one knew who sent it. Some believed it was the Queen, others thought it came from the vanished member of the inner circle. But whoever it was, they'd just pulled the first thread of a golden web that held Monaco together. Within days, private jets began leaving the city. Yachts disappeared overnight. The penthouse, once alive with light, stood like an empty crown above the sea. Zeus's empire, the silent kingdom that ruled without sound, was beginning to fracture from within. But the real question wasn't who leaked the secret. It was why. Because hidden in the metadata of that letter was one final line, a message meant to be found. The king never falls, he transforms. And with that, a new rumor began, that Zeus hadn't vanished at all. He was already building something even greater, somewhere no one would dare to look. In the end, Zeus's story isn't just about money, power, or luxury, it's about control. He built a world where silence ruled louder than speeches, where every whisper carried the weight of $1 million decision, and where even truth had a price tag. From the shimmering towers of Monaco to the quiet corners of his vanished empire, one thing remains certain: nothing truly disappears. It only changes shape. And maybe that's exactly what Zeus wanted all along. Because perhaps the greatest power is not being seen, but being remembered. If you believe some empires never fall, only evolve, then his story has just begun. Hit the like button, subscribe to Inside the Billionaires, and tell us in the comments, type Z if you believe Zeus will rise again, or unlike if you think his silence means the end. Thank you for watching, for listening, and for stepping inside the hidden world of Monaco's billionaires. Until next time. Stay curious, stay bold, and remember, in this city, every whisper tells a story.